NFL franchise has won more home openers than the Chicago Bears. Today, the Bears' Lovie Smith seeks his 75th win as a head coach. Kind of a different story for his opposite number. Indy's Chuck Pagano is a first-time head coach. His next win will be his first. Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish, where available using the SAP button on your television.
Following presentation of the National Football League.
It's the usual packed house at Soldier Field here in Chicago as Week 1 continues and kicks off here on CBS, the Colts and the Bears. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf on a beautiful September afternoon in Chicago, Illinois, with the temperature just at about 70 degrees and a slight wind out of the north at 15 miles an hour. The Indianapolis Colts won the toss. They have deferred and will kick to the Bears. Pat McAfee will be kicking it away deep for the Bears. Number 14, Eric Weems. Number 23, Devin Hester, who has returned 5 kickoffs for touchdowns in his great career. We're underway. Hester, 2 yards deep. And buried at about the 15-yard line. Justin Hickman led the charge. The Chicago quarterback is Jay Cutler in his 4th year now with the Bears. His season cut short by injury last year. A shotgun on his right shoulder, looking to lead the Bears back to the postseason.
And I think if you would have polled the Bears fans, they think this is perfect. Starting on offense, they have been waiting all offseason to see how quickly this thing can jump.
Matt Forte, the deep back, behind Cutler. And Cutler going to throw on first down. If he can, he can't. He's buried inside the 5-yard line. Robert Mathis.
Well, play action is supposed to buy the quarterback some time. But Robert Mathis, he just comes knifing right in here, and you can see he just beats the block inside, and that's, you know, Jay Cutler thinks he's going to plant and a chance to look downfield, and he never gets the opportunity. Boy, right off the bat, Jay Cutler, who's been sacked just about more than any quarterback in football, goes down on their first play of the year.
No quarterback in the league has been sacked more often the last couple of years than we have whistles.
False start. Offense, number 72, half the distance, remains second down.
That's right tackle Gabe Karimi. Our referee today is Wayne Elliott, with 20 years of officiating experience at various levels of college ball.
I think all of you are well aware that the regular NFL officials are still in a state of lockout, and the replacement guys are here, and we know they'll be working hard, that's for sure. But wow, it's not their fault the Bears have gotten off to this kind of a start. 2nd and 24 from your own end zone. Wow.
This is Forte. Maybe back to the 5-yard line. Well, the key to any Chicago success this year will be protecting Jay Cutler. 3rd-year left tackle Jamarcus Webb has Cutler's blind side. And Cutler has the big target he's been yearning for in former Denver teammate Brandon Marshall, who has averaged 1,100 yards receiving over the last 5 seasons.
Well, you work on different scenarios during the week leading up to a game. I can pretty much guarantee you the Bears did not work on 3rd and 21 with Cutler standing on his own goal line.
The rookie Alshon Jeffrey is in a wide receiver. Dropped the ball, picked it up, on the move, throws it over the middle, incomplete for Jeffrey.
Well, it was a bad snap. It was just the snap appeared to be low. The ball bounces to him, the snap from Garza, and that, of course, takes Cutler's eyes off it downfield, and he tries to make something happen, and that is as poor of an offensive series as the Bears could have possibly mustered up if they'd have tried to be awful.
Adam Podlesh will kick it away. Levon Brazil is deep. Brazil, fair catch called for and made at midfield. And so, here he is. Lots of talk about the rookie quarterbacks around the NFL. This one tops the list. Andrew Luck, the #1 overall pick in the draft out of Stanford, the present and future face of these Indianapolis Colts.
Well, his first drive for the Indianapolis Colts gets to start in fantastic field position. How good does Chuck Pagano look?
Deferring.
That's right, deferring, putting his defense out there first. They did a 3 and out. Look at this field position.
So the rookie gets his NFL career underway right now. Play fake. And it's a completion out of the backfield. Dominique Jones plays a little bit of H-back, plays a little bit of tight end.
Well, the Colts have 3 rookies on their roster at the tight end position. Here's play action that really worked. His line came through with good protection. A very simple little dump off. But look at Luck survey the field. He looks to the middle, he looks to the left, and did his 3rd check down all the way back to the right to Jones.
2nd and 2.
Run 90! Run it up!
This is Donald Brown, and Brown will be stacked up short of the first down. The charge led by Israel Idonije. Up front for the Colts, they have an outstanding left tackle, and Anthony Costanzo out of Boston College, last year's first-round pick. And the familiar face on offense for Colts fans, that of Reggie Wayne in his 12th season, his 11,708 receiving yards, number 22 all-time in the NFL. There is Chuck Pagano, the first-year head coach for the Colts, who spread the field on 3rd and 3.
Middle!
Luck got it away and overthrew Reggie Wayne, who was open on the far side of the field.
Well, the Bears chose not to blitz Luck that time. They came with a 4-man rush, and with only a 4-man rush, they collapsed the pocket around Andrew Luck to where he had to throw off his back foot and couldn't really get a good throw. That was an excellent pass rush by the Bears.
Devin Hester is back for the punt from McAfee. Fair catch called for. He'll let it bounce and roll toward the end zone. Saved inside the 5-yard line by Joe LaFege. Joe LaFege batted the ball back, and once again, the Bears will be deep in their own territory when we come back. The crowd is around number 33, the Bears starting cornerback Charles Tillman, who limped off the field, and they're continuing to look at him. That would be a pretty big loss for the Bears.
He has a Pro Bowler last year. They're looking at his lower leg.
Meanwhile, on first down from the shotgun, Cutler throwing out his end zone, picked off, touchdown, Indianapolis, Gerald Freeman.
Wow, and Freeman, an inside linebacker, just undercuts the route. And obviously, Jay Cutler never saw him through a perfect strike. He's just floating out into the flat right there from his inside linebacker position. Cutler's locked in on Forte and throws it right to him.
Jay Cutler has thrown, prior to this game, 49 interceptions in less than 3 full seasons here in Chicago, and just threw a pick 6. The extra point is good.
Well, the Bears have run 4 offensive plays, a sack, a low snap, and then it includes this, an easy interception touchdown for Gerald Freeman. What a horrendous start for Chicago.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. NFL Mobile from Verizon, built to bring you the game. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Back here in Chicago, Jay Cutler has been fighting the interception bugaboo since he arrived here and didn't do himself any favors on that offensive series. First play out of the end zone, Freeman, the interception and the touchdown, and a 7-0 Colt lead. McAfee will tee it up and once again kick to Eric Weems and Devin Hester. And this will bounce out of the end zone for the touchback. Well, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears from their own 20.
Well, going to commercial, I think I used the word horrendous. I don't think I'd change that. First play of the game, Jay Cutler gets sacked by Robert Mathis for a 12-yard loss. Garza one-hops a snap back to Cutler. He's got to fight to try to get rid of it. And then finally he undercuts. Gerald Freeman comes underneath with an easy pick 6. You know, Freeman gets the touchdown, Greg, but you got to give credit and assist to Joe LaFage downing that punt inside the 5-yard line, batting the ball back.
On first down, this is Forte, and Forte is wrapped up by Cavell Connor. And this is a fired-up Colt defense.
Well, Cavell Connor is the other inside linebacker in this hybrid 3-4 that the Colts are switching to, that Chuck Pagano brought with him from Baltimore, where he was the defensive coordinator. Guys like Robert Mathis there, Dwight Freeney going to have to adjust to standing up, playing the outside linebacker position a little bit more. Now they'll get down in their 3-point, but there's Freeney at the bottom of your screen there in a 2-point stance.
Under pressure. And decked in the backfield. It'll be 3rd and 10.
This is just jaw-dropping, the problems that the Bears are having. And Cutler, you know, hoping that play action opened up the backside where the Colts would rush down the line of scrimmage, not upfield. Well, that didn't work out. He's got 2 Colts right in his face and takes a shot for his trouble.
So now it's 3rd and 10. Running, throwing, over the middle, and that's complete across the 30 to Brandon Marshall for the first down.
Well, we talked about Andrew Luck and his athleticism, but anyone who's followed the NFL for years knows that Jay Cutler can really run, and he can buy himself some extra time. And that time the Colts brought a 6-man rush. They came with the blitz, and he broke containment. That was all Jay Cutler. Well done. Maybe this Bears offense can settle down a little bit. I'm sure there's some wide eyes in that huddle before that first down pickup about, wow, what's going wrong?
On first down, full screen out here, incomplete to Forte. Let's check the Indianapolis defense. The Colts' brand new 3-4 defense. They expect big results from veteran defensive end Corey Redding in his 10th NFL season, his first with the Colts. A couple of guys who used to play defensive end, now at outside linebacker. Great pass rushers in Robert Mathis and 7-time Pro Bowler Dwight Freeney. And Indy shoring up the secondary with the recent trade to acquire 4th-year cornerback Vontae Davis from the Miami Dolphins. 2nd and 10. Coming this way is Forte, cutting it up. Running room, inside the 40 to the 35.
Well, give some credit to Jamarcus Webb, the left tackle. He makes a good block at the point attack, and he got the seal that allows C73, see him coming around the corner. That is a good job. And he gets the edge, and then Matt Forte does what he does best. There's Webb's block. You see Rodriguez, 48, gets a good cut that springs Forte as well. And wow, was this an offense in desperate need of a big play.
Michael Bush in the backfield.
Forte split out wide to the left as a receiver.
Cutler with time overthrew his intended receiver. Kellen Davis, the tight end.
Well, I think this is a situation where Cutler reads the defense and how they roll up on Forte. And when he reads that, he's throwing to a spot. And you can see that Davis broke off his pattern. I mean, Jay Cutler is throwing to where he expected Davis to be. He read one thing with that coverage, and Kellen Davis read something else.
That's Dwight Freeney getting a tape job on his left ankle. 2nd and 10. Cutler deep down the near sideline. And that's intercepted in the end zone? No, he couldn't hold on. Gerard Powers drew a bead on it.
He had it. He had it, and it looked like it came out when he contacted the ground. Again, Jay Cutler hoping that the inside belongs to Marshall, and Marshall being the taller guy, not able to elevate. He couldn't get himself turned. And you can see pretty clearly the ball just pops right off the chest of Gerard Powers when he hits the ground.
Bears offensive coordinator Mike Tice said there would be a concerted effort to get Brandon Marshall involved right off the bat. From the shotgun. Cutler on the move, down the middle. Incomplete, penalty marker.
Trying to find Earl Bennett.
And Justin King appeared to be guilty of the interference.
Again, a good job by Jay Cutler of buying extra time to extend the play by movement in the pocket. Jay Cutler is one fine athlete. And he's got a good sense of pocket awareness himself. Just a couple lateral, one quick hop to the left, another one back to the right, and he throws a really nice ball. And there's certainly no question about Justin King getting snags for the interference. That was pretty blatant.
First down for the Bears. At the Indy 16, Cutler. For Jeffrey, he was covered and Cutler threw it out of bounds.
Well, that's Alshon Jeffrey, their very talented second-round draft pick this year, who has got a huge, what they call a receiving radius. He's 6'3" with a big wingspan, and I think Jay Cutler, with Jeffrey on one side, Brandon Marshall at 6'4" on the other, is going to be very comfortable throwing a lot of jump balls this season and letting those two big guys go up and compete for the football.
Second and 10. This is Forte to the 10, to the 5, to the 2-yard line, and a first and goal.
Well, that was a good-looking play because it looked like a pass. Jay Cutler dropping back, and then a little bit of the delayed handoff to Forte, and a lot of the Colts were already upfield, and a good job at the point of attack by Gabe Karimi. There was a pin-down block by Lance Lewis. He even got Alshon Jeffrey, the rook, downfield, trying to get his big body in the way.
Meanwhile, Matt Forte goes by Gale Sayers for most career yards from scrimmage in Chicago Bears history. First and goal.
I'd put that ball aside. Anything where I was linked to Gale Sayers, I'd put it on my mantle.
Cutler forced into a timeout with 7:58 to play here in the first quarter. Bears knocking on the door for a tying touchdown.
And of course, there'll be a rotating cast. Boomer will be involved in that sometimes. So it's a good show. Looking forward to seeing it.
First and goal. Cutler throwing, end zone. Penalty marker down. Marshall covered by Cassius Vaughn.
And again, Brandon Marshall is such an imposing physical presence out there that he draws a lot of penalties.
3-yard line, first down.
Brandon Marshall is 6'4", 230, and he looks even bigger than that. And Marshall's just trying to fight for the space. But when, you could see clearly, look at Vaughn. He doesn't know where the football is.
Nope.
He's not playing the football. He's not looking at the quarterback. That is an invitation to be called for interference.
First and goal from the 1. This is Michael Bush. Tripped before he ever got started and got back to the line of scrimmage. Michael Bush in his first season here in Chicago after 4 years in Oakland.
Well, Michael Bush is a big guy, and he just kind of bristles a little bit when you just try to paint him as a big physical running back. He goes, I can make people miss too. But when you talk to Mike Tice, their offensive coordinator, says, look, Michael Bush will get us the dirty yards. He'll get us the tough yards. He's a tough dude.
He's going to get it again, this time to the goal line for the touchdown.
He is a really nice compliment to Matt Forte, and a good pickup for the Bears when they got Michael Bush. And, you know, sometimes a team needed a touchdown drive more than others. That was one of those situations for Chicago after that terrible start.
Dan, once again, Evan Rodriguez has been the lead blocker on a number of plays, and this is a rookie, the 4th-round draft pick. He has been very impressive.
Well, primarily a tight end, but now he's the only real fullback that they have on the team. And that's going to be his position, that H-back fullback.
Robbie Gold's extra point is good. The Bears come back and tie it, 7:19 to play in the first.
Sponsored by E-Trade. Works beautifully. And by the new 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
Colts ready to go back on offense after the Bears tie the game at 7 with 7:19 to play here in the first quarter. We'll look at the sideline where Dwight Green has been retaped. That kick will go out of the end zone, and that'll be a touchback, and the Colts will start from their own 20-yard line. In the battle for Las Vegas, only one man can win. Dennis Quaid and Michael Chiklis star in Vegas, premiering Tuesday, September the 25th, only CBS.
There's Brian Urlacher, who's started and played so far in this game, and that knee of his, the left knee, which has been under so much scrutiny. Brian telling us, I am not in pain. And good news for the Bears, Charles Tillman, who limped off the field. There he is at the top of your screen, back at his customary spot at right corner.
Luck from the shotgun on first down. Over the middle. That is complete to Reggie Wayne.
Well, there's a couple old veterans meeting at the middle of the field, Reggie Wayne and Brian Urlacher. 13-year player, a 12-year guy. So many team records, so many Pro Bowls.
You know, all the discussion that's taken place about Brian Urlacher, he was very precise and succinct when we talked to him on Friday. Basically, it's his belief it's nobody's business.
No, he said, I'll take care of myself. I'll get myself ready to play.
He eludes the rush and throws incomplete.
Well, this, again, the pocket just collapses. Lance Briggs, one of the guys who came in on a blitz in addition to the defensive lineman coming, but right up the middle. And again, here's Luck, though. He shows you some of that athleticism. He fights off an arm tackle. You know, right there, he's on his own. That's Julius Peppers that had him by the left arm. But then he ends up taking a pretty good hit from Toina.
3rd and short yardage for the Colts. Donald Brown in the backfield, Luck going to throw for it. On the move, and to the 30-yard line and a first down.
Well, so far the Chicago Bears are getting what they want, and that is pressure with only 4 people. And there's a little bit of a, you know, and then you force him out of the pocket. Yep, he picked up the first down. He moved the sticks, but he paid a pretty good price for it. You saw him get hit both in the front, and he took a really good shot back in the kidney area.
The Colts pick up their first down of the day.
I'm not sure you want to see number 12 doing that with that much regularity. Not much of the future in that.
Donald Brown goes nowhere. Henry Melton came right up the middle.
And with a defense with marquee names like Urlacher and Julius Peppers and Lance Briggs, Henry Melton is one of those guys that just flies under the radar. The 4th-year guy out of Texas. He didn't come into the league as a real marquee guy, 4th-round draft pick. He had 7 sacks last year. Better than any other defensive tackle in the NFC. I mean, this guy is a football player, and a lot of people don't know about it.
2nd and 14. Quick pass, this side, complete to Levon Brazil. And Brazil across the 35 to about the 37-yard line.
Now, Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator for the Colts, those are the kind of throws that are going to make Andrew Luck happy. A design, quick, wide receiver screen, but pass rush doesn't come into play. It's get the ball, plant, release, and deliver. There's Bruce Arians.
You know, I thought it was interesting. Everybody's wondering about Andrew Luck's readiness. Bruce Arians told us, I gave him the whole playbook.
Yeah, and he said it's everybody else that can't keep up. Arians, of course, 8 years in Pittsburgh.
Luck, far side, and overthrows Reggie Wayne. He was under pressure in the backfield.
Well, he goes down again, and I think it was the Colts' #1 draft pick this time that got in there on him. Coming around from the top, yep, that's Shea McClellan, and he was the Bears' #1 pick from Boise State, and he gets around Costanzo with a nifty spin move. Boy, that was shades of Dwight Freeney with that spin.
Devin Hester. Back all the way up and then into the end zone. 4:19 to play, first quarter. Colts and Bears. You can watch fantasy football today to get game time player news, inactive updates to help set your lineup, and chat with our experts every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern at cbssports.com/live. Bears take over at their 20-yard line. Dwight Freeney on the sideline. We'll tell you about him in just a moment. Play fake. Cutler. Looking for Brandon Marshall, knocked down by Zbikowski.
Wow, and Jay Cutler took a real chance with that throw because Zbikowski was sitting there underneath, and that's not a good sign for the Colts. Dwight Freeney. It was just one of those plays where Jamarcus Webb, the left tackle for the Bears right here, number 73, he's into Freeney. That's perfectly legal, but then as he slides to the ground, Freeney's left ankle kind of gets trapped underneath, and he's not holding a helmet, and he looks pretty discouraged. Jerry Hughes, number 92, on the last snap was in there for Freeney at the outside linebacker spot. There's Hughes, former #1 pick.
Second and 10. Straight ahead. Michael Bush just over the 20-yard line. Our first update of the season to New York. JB.
First rookie quarterback to start week 1 for the Redskins is Robert Griffin III, who started 7 for 7 today, guys. And there's the 7th completion, an 88-yard touchdown reception by Pierre Garçon. Redskins on top of the Saints, 10-3.
Back to Greg Gumbel and the repository of great information, Dan Dierdorf.
Why, Boomer, thank you.
I think
The minute he said repository, I started to sweat.
Cutler on third down, going deep, far sideline. It is incomplete. Off the fingertips of Marshall.
Well, a good look at the Colts and playing a little cover 2 right there, and there is that window between the corner and the safety. Vontae Davis did a nice job of staying and removing the underneath ability for Cutler to get it in there. But when you look at it, that was a heck of a throw by Jay Cutler. It could have been completed.
A couple of ex-teammates there, Vontae Davis and Brandon Marshall, in their days with the Miami Dolphins. This one to the near sideline and out of bounds. Stops the clock with 3:21 to play here in the first quarter. And once again, let's go back to New York. JB and Boomer Esiason, guys.
I guess excellence would be synonymous with
Tom Brady. Take a look at this, stepping up in the pocket. Dan Dierdorf loves that. Finds Aaron Hernandez. That's Tom Brady's 301st TD pass for his career. Just breaks a tie with John Elway, and he's now in 5th place, Dan.
not bad company. Greg Gumbel and Dan Dierdorf.
Yeah, but who's counting, Boomer?
And Tom Brady from Michigan? Yes, he might be a former Wolverine.
So Andrew Luck from his own 44. Vic Ballard, 5th round draft pick in the backfield. Gets the handoff. And gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe another yard.
Well, Andrew Luck working on his first quarter here in the National Football League regular season. He got himself a couple short. He's done a good job checking down with the football. Unfortunately, though, he's really been having to work hard. His pocket has collapsed around him. He did a good job moving the chains that time, the last one we looked at, running for a first down. But he has not had the best of pass protection. But when he's had some time, he's gone through his reads pretty well and checked it down sometimes to even the third guy.
3 out of 6 for 26 yards, which is considerably better than what Jay Cutler has produced so far. This is Ballard again. To about the 48-yard line. Julius Peppers making the stop.
Well, you could say, are you saying that because Cutler's 1 for 10?
It is an observation.
Yes, it is an observation. But the one thing Cutler did do was engineer a touchdown drive. Unfortunately, that just got him to the 500-point in touchdowns after throwing a pick six to Jarrell Freeman.
3rd and 5 for Luck and the Colts.
They're making him think the Bears got 2 guys up on the line. They're showing him a 6-man rush.
Reggie Wayne in motion. Settles down in the slot. Luck.
Andrew Luck, say hello to Julius Peppers. There's a flag on the far side.
On the far side. Yeah, check this out.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 99. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
That's the rookie Shea McClellan.
Well, we saw McClellan make a good play earlier, and now he's in the doghouse, lining up in the neutral zone. And that's Andrew Luck just stepping up and he's attempting. I don't know if he was attempting to throw. It looked like he was attempting to stop, in which case the tuck rule would have come into play.
Right?
Yep, that would have come into play.
Now it's 3rd and 1. Ballard in the backfield. And we get a timeout. So the Colts want to reconsider what they do here. 1:41 left in the first. Defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli.
And Greg, one of the things he's got to be happy about is the fact that when he elects to go with just the 4-man rush, he's getting pressure. And talk about making it tough on a rookie quarterback. When you can make the pocket small, when you can keep a guy from stepping up with only a 4-man rush and drop the other 7 guys into coverage, that is a tall order for even the most veteran quarterback. I'm telling you, the key to winning is a 4-man pass rush that gets to the quarterback.
3rd and 1. Luck throws in and out of the hands of Donald Brown. He had a first down and then some. It'll force a punt.
I love the play call. It really is. It's an easy pitch and catch, and what a classic case. Donald Brown's head was already turned looking downfield when the ball made contact with the palms of his hands.
McAfee looking to drop it inside the 10, and he does. And once again, it's saved by Colts special teams, and once again, it's Joe LaFege. Second time he's done that in this game.
And the last time he did it, it resulted in a Colts defensive touchdown. Doesn't matter if the ball goes across the end line as long as you started in the field of play and batted back without making any contact with the end zone until you land. What a nice play by LaFege. 2 for 2 on downing punts inside the 5. And look at that. Not a lot of good things happen when you average starting at your own 12-yard line.
We have 1:25 to play here in the first quarter. Bears starting from their own 5. Dwight Freeney has gone to the locker room for the Colts with an ankle sprain. His return is questionable. There's Brandon Marshall across the 10 to about the 12, maybe the 13-yard line.
And this is smart. Run a couple slants, run a couple quick hitches, do whatever you can do to get Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler to kind of elevate their comfort level a little bit. This has been a pretty rocky first quarter so far. Anything but smooth and rhythmic for the Bears offense. So any little things like that can help get it going, do it.
On 2nd and 3, this is Forte. Forte out to the 15-yard line. Looks to be enough for a first down.
I'm pretty sure he got the spot. He actually got beyond it. Well, a good pickup on first down, a good successful positive run. That's what Mike Tice is looking for. You know, he replaced Mike Martz as the offensive coordinator. Now, of course, he's got experience here with Chicago. For the previous 2 years, he was the offensive line coach. Former head coach of the Vikings, tight end in the league. Mike Tice, a popular guy with the players.
Said he scripted the first 10 plays of the game. I'm sure that interception touchdown wasn't on the script. Out into the flat Forte, back to the line of scrimmage, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. That's the end of one at Soldier Field in Chicago with the score. The Colts 7 and the Bears 7. We're coming back to the Windy City right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Second quarter here at Soldier Field is our game tied at 7 apiece. Jay Cutler and the Bears.
They need to get Devin Hester a couple chances here.
That's Hester in motion. This is Forte. Bouncing to the outside. And hit at about the 20-yard line by Antoine Bethea. Two-time Pro Bowl safety.
Well, that time they actually used Devin Hester coming across the formation, almost making it look like an option to try to string out the defense for Forte.
You see the numbers for Andrew Luck and for Jay Cutler today. The Colts have had no luck whatsoever running the football. And on the receiving end, Reggie Wayne just 1 for 8 yards. 3rd and 4. Cutler throwing complete. That's Earl Bennett. Bennett with a first down out to the 30-yard line.
Well, Earl Bennett there goes in motion, comes in to make a little bit of a stacked formation, trying to get lost behind Brandon Marshall, and he did. And Jay Cutler rewards his one-time Vanderbilt teammate with a good throw.
East, hey, 50, Lion.
On first down, Cutler looks left, throws left. Oh, what a nice play. Nice throw to Brandon Marshall, who pulled it in.
And you know what? You know you're going to take a hit in that cover two. You know that safety sitting right back behind. And we talked before how they tried to squeeze it into that window, and Cutler does it again. But Brandon Marshall knows that Antoine Bethea is coming in, and he's locked in. He got both feet down. Boy, that was a nice job by Brandon Marshall.
New set of downs for the Bears. Cutler going to throw it again. Running out of time. Throw incomplete. Intended for Marshall again. Batted away by Gerard Powers. You know, this is by anyone's account, a new Brandon Marshall. And when you asked him if he was happy here in Chicago, Dan, he said, pinch me.
He stuck his arm out and said, pinch me. I can't believe how fortunate I am. And it was a happy, content Brandon Marshall who realizes this is a wonderful opportunity.
This is Forte. Across midfield, penalty marker is down. This looks like to be against the Bears.
I believe they call Chris Spencer the left guard. We talked about Mike Tice, the offensive coordinator. He would love to run the football. He's kind of an old school offensive guy that believes that if we can run I know it's a passing league, and I know that every team in the league pretty much will pass the ball more than they'll run it. But Mike Tice would love to get back to a physical dominance running the football because he knows how good Cutler is off play action. If they can get Matt Forte going, and I'm talking about on a season-long basis, this whole offense will come together. But it revolves around Forte and their ability to be able to pound away at the line of scrimmage.
Well, when they do line up, it's going to be 2nd and 20 for the Bears.
Hey, Ryan, open.
And yeah, the play clock is winding down. It was
not
not
Jay
reset.
Cutler's going, why wasn't it reset? Now you go back to 25 seconds after a penalty.
Lovie Smith out on the field to plead his case. And that's what they'll do. They'll reset it.
Well, of course they're resetting it, but so the Bears aren't going to be charged to timeout. They scatter off the field.
So here we go, 2nd and 20. The Bears at their own 38. Butler steps up, down the middle. Kelvin Hester, his first catch of the day. Inside the 35 to the 33 and a first down.
It's a thing of beauty when Jay Cutler plants and delivers. When he's got some protection and he sees somebody open downfield, when he makes the decision to go, look at that. That is a rocket ship. That pass is leaving a vapor trail on its way to Devin Hester, who Zibikowski gave all sorts of room. He found a soft spot in the zone that Indy was playing, and now they've gotten 23 involved.
Hey, Peter! What is that?
This is Forte. Not much there. You know, you're talking about that arm strength. How about the conversation with Mike Shanahan way back when?
Well, it was when Cutler was drafted. I'm sitting in Mike Shanahan's office. I said, Mike, let's say that the bar is John Elway's arm, and that's a 10.0. What is Jay Cutler? And he looks right at me and goes, 10.1. I said, are you telling me he's got a stronger arm than John Elway? And he goes, yes, I am. I'm not making it up.
Forte in the backfield. The Colts operating on defense. Again, minus White Freedy, who is out right now with an ankle sprain. Over the middle. Oh, what a grab made by Forte to the 10. 5 and out of bounds.
Matt Forte is everything to this football team. First of all, Jay Cutler put it the only place where the ball could be to get a completion because of the coverage, but it took just a highlight one-handed stab by Forte because Cavell Connor actually had decent coverage on Forte. It was a perfect little arcing dump pass from Cutler and a magnificent catch by Matt Forte. That was nice to see.
First and goal inside the 5. Michael Bush in the backfield. Pass this side. Touchdown. Brandon Marshall.
Well, two guys that know each other pretty well. Vontae Davis, Brandon Marshall. They were teammates last year in Miami. The Colts making the trade for Davis, and a really superior job of Brandon Marshall driving him off the ball and planting, and the ball was right there.
The Bears go 95 yards in 11 plays. Robbie Gold with the extra point. And it's good.
And key plays in the drive by Forte, by Marshall, and by Hester. The big three all involved.
Forte, who has now joined Walter Payton and Neil Anderson as the only Chicago Bears with 4,000 yards rushing and 2,000 receiving yards. Brazil and Vaughn are deep. And this one won't be run back either. It'll come out to the 20-yard line. Tonight on 60 Minutes, he was one of the Navy SEALs who shot bin Laden. The dramatic story he tells is only on 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. Well, Dan, you'd have to say the Bears have recovered well from the early shock of the interception touchdown.
Well, Jay Cutler has fought his way back to where he's 500 now, passing at 50%. You say, wow, 50% is not very good. Well, it's not bad when at one time you were 1 for 10.
Charles Tillman is out of the Bears lineup with a leg injury. He's been replaced by former Colt Kelvin Hayden.
190! 190!
Luck from the 20 to throw. Over the middle. Reggie Wayne, what a catch! Across the 35 to the 37-yard line.
Well, and there he did it against his old teammate, Kelvin Hayden. And this time, Luck looking all the way to the left. He identifies the single coverage. The safety completely out of the picture. Chris Conte was deep down the middle. So he found the one-on-one matchup, and luckily that matchup involved Reggie Wayne. And look at him. He comes down with the ball with one hand and appeared to control it all the way through the catch.
On first down, Luck gonna go deep. Far side of the field. That is intercepted at the 20-yard line by Tim Jennings.
And Andrew Luck just didn't put enough air under that football. Tim Jennings makes a spectacular catch, but that was an underthrown pass from Andrew Luck.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
All right, welcome back to Chicago. The Bears up 14-7, and Donnie Avery is the Colts receiver. A little double move there, and he gets past Jennings, but then you can see they both slow down, wait for the ball. Jennings goes up and gets it. What a wonderful you won't see many wide receivers control a ball like that. But after we watched this play, I got to tell you, I thought the Bears were offsides at the snap of that ball.
Cutler. On first down, over the middle, got his man at the 40-yard line. Marshall.
Well, Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler renewing their old friendship. And again, Brandon Marshall, look how he goes up for that. And he is really lucky. Buffet into the back of his legs there. And that Brandon Marshall came out of it just fine. But another strike from Cutler.
5 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown for Marshall. This is Michael Bush for a couple. Let's go back to that play, that interception.
I've got it, watching it from the booth, I thought Adonijah was offside at the snap. Watch this, he's right. Watch him at the bottom of your screen. If he's not in the neutral zone at the snap of that ball, that's really an optical illusion. Now, that angle wasn't directly down the line of scrimmage, and the linesman on the side was, but that could have easily, I think, been flagged offsides. But again, you can go parallel and not get in the neutral zone. I'm just telling you, that was really close.
Cutler on 2nd and 8, getting time. And another rocket inside the 25, the rookie, Alshon Jeffrey.
And right now, it's about the Chicago offensive line giving Jay Cutler a clean pocket. And Alshon Jeffrey now gets in on the party. But look at that. Now that's the way it's supposed to be done. Robert Mathis gets in there really late, but way after the fact.
Boy, that is sticking a ball right where it has to be. Here's Bush to about the 22.
There's so many skilled position players on this Bears offense. This offense has a chance to be elite, but to be elite, it's the 5 guys up front that have really got to gel And Mike Tice will tell you that this offense is going to go as far as this offensive line can carry it.
We were talking with Lovie Smith about the offensive line, which has come under great scrutiny, and he said, show me a team that has a great offensive line around the league these days.
Yeah.
Cutler on the move, throwing, end zone, incomplete. And a flag.
Is he going to call offensive interference?
Pass interference, offense number 23, 10-yard penalty, second down.
This goes against number 23, Devin Hester. Let's take a look.
Well, Zbikowski gets in his way. There's no question about that. But Zbikowski is playing the football. The football was to Zbikowski's side. And, Devin Hester with that exaggerated push, you're just inviting the guy to throw the flag. If you got to fight through it, or if you want to flop. But when you go ahead and shove a guy and extend your arms like that, you're going to get called for offensive interference.
50-50.
Cutler now with a second and 20 and needs the 13-yard line for a first down.
Spark right. Lexi.
Colts miss Freeney in a situation like this.
Quick slant, Brandon Marshall again inside the 25 to the 24.
I never played corner, but I can't imagine that anyone volunteers to cover Brandon Marshall on a slant. I mean, this guy is big and good with his hands. You see how he bought himself a little space, and that when it's a well-thrown pass from the quarterback to a guy with that kind of physicality, tough to defend.
58.
The Bears piling up the total yard advantage.
58.
Third and 11. Bush on the draw. Screams away from one tackler, makes it to the 16-yard line. And that'll bring on Robbie Gold in the field goal unit.
Now Mike Tice really trying to fool the Colts defense, running the draw when Bush is in the game instead of Matt Forte. I think he thought they would probably totally disregard it without Forte being the back. Give credit where credit's due. Nice job by the Colts.
So this is Robbie Gold lining up a 35-yard field goal attempt. One of the stronger legs around. And accurate. Right down the middle. 5:32 to play in the first half. The Chicago Bears extend their lead to 10, 17-7. 6-yard scoring drive on 7 plays in just over 4 minutes time, and Brandon Marshall all smiles on the sideline, as well he should be, beginning to feel his oats. Vaughn and Brazil deep, and Vaughn will run this one out of the end zone to the 20 and out of bounds short of the 25-yard line. 5:26 to play in the first half.
Well, Colts quarterbacks.
Andrew Luck will take the field, trying to get something started on offense for Indy.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
Back at Soldier Field, all in all, it has been an offensive frustration for the Indianapolis Colts. 3 punts and an interception on 4 possessions. Donald Brown in the backfield as Luck can throw. Got his man. Oh, what a diving grab by Reggie Wayne.
Reggie landed on the football when he came down, and I hope that that's... You all got to worry about your ribs and things like that, but when you when you lay out for a football like Reggie Wayne did, you are not in a position to protect yourself when you make contact with the ground. Ooh. And he landed right on the football, right on his sternum. And right now you just hope that Reggie Wayne just got the wind knocked out of it. But that football can be mighty unforgiving when you land on it like that. And Andrew Luck at the end of that play just gets a little nudge from Stephen Paya.
Reggie Wayne, who told us last night all the newness of this training camp kind of makes him feel young all over again.
He wasn't it really kind of exciting to talk to Reggie? He really was upbeat, you know, considering a whole lot of his friends are gone, guys named Saturday and Clark and Adai, Manning. It's Reggie's got to be looking around those offensive meetings.
That is Reggie's second outstanding catch of the day.
Yep, good for him. But he's got to look around those meetings sometimes and go,
who are you again?
What?
Name tag.
Yeah,
please.
really. And you know, one familiar face is Austin Collie, and Collie is inactive today. He got a concussion back on August the 19th and still not able to play.
Yeah,
hopefully he'll be back next week.
Chuck Pagano said he'd be a game time decision, but the doctors did not clear him to play today.
No, it was up to the doctors. And you know what? Error on the side of Carter.
On first down, quick slant. Too high for Avery, and a penalty marker.
Or are they going to get Jennings for getting in there early?
Pass interference. Defense number 26. Spot foul. Automatic. First down.
Jim Jennings. I think we see what he thinks of that. Oh boy. It looks like a pretty good play by Tim Jennings to me. That was split second, but it looked like he was there the microsecond the ball arrived.
54!
Fourth first down at the Chicago 48.
180!
This is Brown with a hole up the middle. Brown spinning his way to the 30-yard line and a first down.
Well, Donald Brown, you know, a lot of times in the old Colts offense had to run the stretch play, but Bruce Arians telling us that he really likes to run off traps, run off double teams, and that's what he got right there. Seth Olson, 73, the left guard. Samson Satelli, a good double team in the middle. And then take a look at it. Lance Briggs gets blocked. Brian Urlacher taken to the ground with a good block. Well done by the guys up front for the Colts.
New set of downs for Luck at the Bears 30. Reggie Wayne back into the lineup. Luck throwing outside, knocked down. Chris Conti came oh so close to picking that off and going the other way.
The Bears are really happy to see Conti back at his free safety position. He dislocated his shoulder. He's wearing a harness there. And he's able to get out and get a hand on this thing. There was some question about whether or not he was going to be ready. And this has got to be one of the things that's a little surprising to Andrew Luck, that he's going to have to adjust to how quickly defensive backs in the NFL close the window.
Second and 10. Luck, grabbed one-handed by Wayne inside the 20 to the 17 or 18-yard line.
I'm Reggie Wayne and you're not.
He's a highlight reel here in the first half.
You know what, and what a gift for a rookie quarterback to have somebody like this. Not just the presence of having been there, done that, but a class act from day one in the National Football League, Reggie Wayne.
There's Austin Collie sitting this one out on the sideline, hoping to be back next week when the Colts are home to the Minnesota Vikings. First down, 3.5 to play, first half. This is Brown. Brown to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Touchdown.
Well, all of a sudden, the Colts offensive line just starts gashing the Bears at the point of attack. On this drive, two sensational pieces of blocking. Take a look at that. The Bears over pursue. Satele, Olsen, Costanzo, McGlynn, every one of them getting a good block at the point of attack. And Andrew Luck gets his first really good, solid drive when he really needed it. Down 17-7, he engineered a good-looking touchdown drive with a big aid from his offensive line. And some pretty nice catches by Reggie Wayne.
His first appearance in the red zone. Caps a 5-play, 77-yard drive. The extra point is good by Adam Vinatieri. Donald Brown, 18 yards to the end zone. And the Colts close to within 3. Andrew Luck kind of celebrating in his head his first touchdown drive.
Well, and, you know, they were on the ropes a little bit, down by 10 points on the road. That's serving notice that this game is far from over. We're going to fight.
Devin Hester, 3 yards deep in the end zone. Shakes one tackle. 20. Spins back to the 27-yard line. A reminder, coming up, the Verizon halftime report. First time in a long season. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and the coach have all the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a special preview of the U.S. Open Women's Final between Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. 3:07 to play.
33, Liz.
Here in the first half. Forte in the backfield behind Jay Cutler. The Bears with the ball in a 3-point lead, and Cutler to throw. Wide open across the 40 to the 43 or 44-yard line. Kyle Adams.
All right, let's take a look at this real quick. Look at this line blocking up here by the Colts offensive line. Donald Brown is going to cut this thing back. He's going to get a hand on his shoulder right there by Towina. The next contact is at the 2-yard line from Chris Conte. Now the second level of the Bears defense just disappeared. He ran through a hand tackle from a defensive lineman, and the next contact was 15 yards and a safety downfield.
Cutler over the middle. Batted down, intended for Marshall. Batted down by Justin King, number 21.
Well, Justin King had inside position on Brandon Marshall. That was sensational coverage. And I mean, when Jay Cutler throws this, he's looking at more white jersey than he is the Chicago Bears jersey. I mean, you can't do it a whole lot better than Justin King did it right there.
Brandon Marshall actually appeared to slap it down to avoid the interception.
Where's that?
On 2nd and 10, Cutler amongst a bevy of bodies at the line of scrimmage, and it falls incomplete. Corey Redding and Fili Moala applying the pressure.
Well, Corey Redding, Chuck Pagano was really happy to get him as a free agent from Baltimore because he'd been such a steady guy there. You know, he played for the Lions for 6 years, Seattle for 1. But Pagano trying to install this system that they ran in Baltimore is just very pleased to have somebody there who can help illustrate to the other guys how we do it.
3rd and 10.
58.
This is where the defense misses a Dwight Freeney in his pass rush. Cutler over the middle, wide open, inside the 45 to the 40, Earl Bennett.
And again, in this first half of this 2012 season, we're seeing the weapons that Jay Cutler has in his arsenal. I mean, Earl Bennett, such a solid guy.
Holding defense number 28. Help his decline. First down.
You know, you got the explosiveness of Devin Hester. You know, we've talked about Brandon Marshall, and then you factor in Alshon Jeffrey, who we've only seen a little bit here in the first half, but this talented rookie at 6'3". I mean, Cutler is really giddy at how many quality receivers he has.
We'll take a break here at the 2-minute warning. The Bears trying to put more points on the board before the halftime break. They're in the lead by 3. An interception return for a touchdown, and Jay Cutler has been on fire throwing the football. 2 minutes to play. The Bears with 1 timeout remaining. They give it to Forte, who advances it to the 39. Moses Foku with the stop for the Colts.
I mean, take an even 250 yards. And if you weren't with us for the very beginning of this game, it looks like the first series looked like the Bears hadn't practiced. It looked like it was some all-star team that they just collected.
Butler throwing, and there is Marshall. Marshall, 25. And then finds his way back to the 26-yard line. He's one of those guys, Dan, you've always talked about. He gets the ball and he kind of looks for contact.
Well, I talked to him about it. I said, when you first came into this league, you catch the ball and you look for somebody to run over. You don't look for the sideline. And he said, I told myself I'm getting older. He said, I tried it, can't do it.
Butler with all kinds of time and over the middle. Got his man. Penalty marker is down. This is Earl Bennett to the end zone. Touchdown. And now let's check the flag, which was thrown in the secondary.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
Well, now because this was a touchdown, it's automatically being reviewed. That's just part of the process now in the National Football League.
Boy, you can't give any quarterback in the league that much time, let alone Jay Cutler.
Well, that ball came out at the very end and squirted out the back of the end zone. So, the replay official upstairs is taking a look at this. And, of course, remember, all reviewable facets of the play are open for inspection. From that angle, did it look like the ball was across the plane?
I thought from that higher angle, he looked to be down at the 1.
He's got possession of the ball. There's his elbow is down, so it's not a fumble. Remember, he's a runner now. He's no longer a receiver. Wow, that is really close. A part of the ball, from that angle, you know what? A part of the ball might have broken the plane, and this is worth a look, and that's exactly where Wayne Elliott is going.
If Wayne Elliott comes out from under that hood and says he didn't have possession when that ball hit the plane, I would believe him.
Well, but he's got possession, and there the elbow is down. So it's either down at the 2-inch line, or it's a touchdown. Yeah. The fact that the ball comes loose, I think, is irrelevant because it comes loose.
He's down one way or the other.
Right, after he's down. Now keep in mind it was ruled a touchdown, so Wayne Elliott has to have conclusive evidence to overturn it. Here it is full speed. I'm not sure that Wayne Elliott is going to see enough to overturn it. He's got to 100% be sure that the ball had not, and it only takes the tip of it to graze that goal line, that plane, to be a touchdown.
If it stands up, the Chicago Bears have scored on each of their last 3 drives. A touchdown, a field goal, and now a touchdown.
Where you look where his rear end hits the ground, which might happen prior to the elbow, you can make a stronger case right there that the ball hadn't broken the plane. Wayne Elliott could easily spot this at the 6-inch line, and you couldn't argue with that at all. And remember, a new thing this year, the fans in the stadium, they get to see the same angles and the same video that the referee's looking at under the hood.
Theirs, of course, is an honest assessment.
But they're not. Are you trying to say there might be some bias involved?
Not in a football crazy town like the Windy City. Here comes Wayne Elliott. 20 years an official at various levels of football.
To further review, the player was down by contact before the ball came loose. The ball will be at the 1/2 yard line. Please put 50 seconds back on the clock.
You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. And again, one more. Let's concentrate on where his butt hits the ground, right there, and that's the look. You can when you use that as your measuring stick, that's a good piece of officiating by Mr. Elliott.
So it's a 1st and goal for the Bears at the 1/2 yard line with 50 seconds to play in the first half.
Well, old monsters of the Midway football, you know what's coming now. But this is a new age. And we've got receivers split out all over the place.
58, 58.
Michael Bush is in the backfield.
Rex.
Marshall one-on-one at the bottom of your screen.
Where's that?
Cutler throwing in his direction off of his hand, and a penalty flag.
Another flag.
Vontae Davis covering.
I'm sure Vontae Davis is going, can't you just try to run it in?
Pass interference. Defense number 23. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
All right, there's Brandon Marshall again. Two guys that know each other well. And there's all sorts of contact between the two of them. And, of course, Jay Cutler got what he wanted. Yeah, Vontae Davis is going, haven't you guys ever heard of trying to run it in from the goal line?
Michael Bush going to try to do just that. Did he get there? He did. He threw the touchdown.
Some of the Colts are arguing that he didn't break the plane, Jerry Hughes specifically. Michael Bush up and over. Yeah, he was very visibly across the plane. And again, Mike Tice talked about the dirty yards. That was a dirty 1/2 yard, but it was good for 6 points.
That one was filthy.
Yeah, but it was good for 6 points.
Robbie Gold for the extra point.
This is what it would look like if you were playing defense for the Colts. And that was a nifty little drive by the Bears.
And with 44 seconds to play here in the first half, the Bears extend their lead to 24-14. There's a reminder once again coming up, the Verizon halftime report. James Brown, Dan Marino, Shannon Sharp, Boomer Esiason, Coach Bill Cowher have the scores and highlights from this first Sunday of the NFL season. And they'll have a special preview of the U.S. Open Women's Final between Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
Yeah, we had a good look there when the Colts went off and Chuck Pagano coaching up Vontae Davis, trying to prop him up and talk to him a little bit. Of course, you know, Pagano was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore last year, but before that, he was a secondary coach. So,
what did Vontae tell us? He said if you can get under Brandon's skin, you can frustrate him. But he says then he allows, this is a different Brandon Marshall these days.
Yeah, everyone acknowledges that Brandon Marshall is much more at peace with himself. But Vontae Davis, he was only traded August 26th, so he barely knows his way around Indianapolis yet, and it's going to take him a while to really get the subtleties of this defense down. I suspect that when he's comfortable, Pagano's the kind of a coordinator that'll take Davis and lock him up on the other team's best receiver, Greg. I wouldn't be surprised to see that by the 3rd or 4th week of the year.
Meanwhile, it'll be interesting to see when the Colts come out of the locker room in the second half if Dwight Freeney is with them.
We don't believe, and we've been looking for him, we don't believe that Dwight Freeney has come back out to the bench from the locker room, and that's
not a good sign.
No, normally not. You don't want to speculate, but...
And his will be an ongoing saga this season as to whether or not he should really be playing outside linebacker or defensive end, where he's where he certainly made his mark in the NFL.
Well, his old position doesn't exist anymore in this new defense of Chuck Pagano.
Line drive kick, and this is Cassius Vaughn. Vaughn to the 20. And down at the 21-yard line, courtesy of Blake Costanzo.
Well, Jay Cutler has a rocky start under his belt, and this is how he threw this pick six to Jarrell Freeman, and that gave him a lead, but then he came right back, and he showed that he's got a short memory as he and Brandon Marshall start to play pitch and catch, and then he got everybody else involved. Matt Forte has stepped up. Devin Hester's had a big play or two. Earl Bennett.
Well, we talked with the Colts about Andrew Luck and his ability in the 2-minute drill. He gets a little bit of it here in the final minute of play. They have all of their timeouts remaining, and they take one here.
And he gets a safe little completion to his college teammate, Coby Fleener. Little history between those two. Of course, kind of neat for Fleener coming back here, Greg. He's from Joliet.
Actually played a little football on this field.
Really?
Native of Lamont, Illinois, about 27 miles outside of the city. Played high school ball at Joliet Catholic Academy. And in '06, he was on the receiving end of this 70-yard touchdown pass here in Soldier Field in a game against Mount Carmel.
I'll be your straight man anytime.
Thank you. Appreciate that. He traded for one of those now.
Yes, he would.
2nd and 3 for Luck. Time. Oh, another fine catch by Reggie Wayne.
Well, Reggie Wayne is 33 years old, and from what we've seen in the first half of this game, Father Time is being kept at bay by Reggie Wayne.
Past the stickum.
Look at that.
Holy smokes.
He's caught him one-handed. He's elevated. He's dug him out.
27 seconds on the clock.
One of the class acts of the NFL, Reggie Wayne.
Luck has his man coming across the middle, and that's Fleener. And Fleener is out of bounds in Chicago territory at about the 41-yard line.
Now, this is just invaluable experience for Andrew Luck, being able to orchestrate a drive like this, and he's doing it with pretty safe passes. The Bears are giving him a lot of room underneath, and he's taking advantage of it.
Now, we saw Adam Vinatieri lining him up in the pregame from about 55, 50.
He was knocking 55-yarders. He had the leg for it.
Noeldy Moore in the backfield. Andrew Luck on the move, throwing right in the middle is Fleener again. Fleener inside the 20 to the 19, and another timeout is called, stopping the clock with 12 seconds to play.
Well, the Bears are dropping their shell so deep that they might as well hang out a for rent sign in the middle of the field and say, come on and move on in. I mean, take a look at how deep everybody is, and they just completely vacate the middle of the field. Urlacher, he covers his responsibility to the flat. And credit Luck, he found it, although I'm not sure how you could possibly miss Coby Fleener at 6'6", standing there all by himself.
So the Colts are down to one timeout remaining. And they will no doubt use it to stop the clock and set up Vinatieri if need be.
I wouldn't want to put a blood pressure cuff on Rod Marinelli right now. I guarantee you it's pretty high.
Luck 4 out of 4 for 59 yards on this drive. On first down, he's going to go for it all to the end zone. Jump ball incomplete. Intended for Donnie Avery, and Tim Jennings was there. 6 seconds remain.
But Tim Jennings is a good football player. And everybody in Indianapolis knows that because he was with the Colts for 4 years. And Donnie Avery at 5'11", not necessarily the guy, it's not a Brandon Marshall going up for that jump ball.
So here is Adam Vinatieri from 37 yards out. Kick is on its way, and it is no good. He pushed it wide right.
Well, Adam Vinatieri, over his 17 years, as automatic as a kicker can be, but it just gets away from him to the right side. And that's, you know, he was hoping it was good, but you know what, Andrew? You orchestrated in a short period of time a very effective drive, put your team in good position. Nothing you could do about that.
And so now the Bears and Cutler take a knee and will go to the locker room with a 10-point lead. That is the end of the first half with the score. The Bears 24 and the Colts 14. We're back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. And half, the Bears leading Indianapolis score of 24-14. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf, and time now to take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam.
Well, it's got to focus on Jay Cutler and his teamwork with Brandon Marshall. And of course, these two guys, they had 3 wonderful years together, very productive years in Denver, and they are so excited and pleased, and I think so are the Bears fans to have them reunited here in Chicago.
We still have another full half to play, but looking back on the first half, considering this is a young Colts team and not very much is expected of them, I don't think they held their own too badly, considering there were a lot of silly penalties and they lost Dwight Freeney.
I think a lot of people thought this was going to be a blowout, and losing Freeney, you know, that can be an emotional letdown too, especially when it happens so early. And it happened in the first quarter. Jamarcus Webb there, the left tackle, gets out, and as Freeney tries to escape, Webb just comes down and slides down and pins his ankle to the ground. And Dwight Freeney has not returned to the field. It's an ankle sprain, and so I think it's highly questionable as to whether we'll see him again the rest of the afternoon.
Charles Tillman, the cornerback for the Bears, has an ankle injury that will sideline him for the rest of the day. And you'll recall the Colts won the toss, deferred, and will now take the kickoff here in the second half.
And if, you know, Vinatieri makes that relatively easy field goal, they're just behind by a touchdown instead of the 10 points they are.
This kick will not be returned, and will come out to the 20-yard line, and here comes Andrew Luck.
10-17. He does have the one interception, trying the long pass down the right sideline that he underthrew. But again, all in all, you know, a learning experience. He had put together a couple good drives. I love the drive he put together at the end of the first half to get them into Vinatieri's field goal range, even though it didn't produce points.
And appeared to get a better feel of the game as things went along. He starts from his own 20-yard line. Donald Brown in the backfield. And this is Brown coming to the near side. Maybe a yard as we look at some first half numbers.
And Donald Brown was a guy that came through in the first half with some effective running of the ball. But considering the way the Bears got started, that first series of theirs was just awful. And to think that they got almost 300 yards of total offense in the first half, that was some rebound.
Double up on first downs and almost doubled up on time of possession. Buffalo 2nd and 9 with time, throwing incomplete. Fleener shadowed by Urlacher coming across the middle.
Well, I think everybody's pretty much aware we've got a lot of young quarterbacks, rookies, that are making their start today, 5 altogether. There's a good look at what's going on up through halftime today. Robert Griffin III, how about that, 11-13. Tannehill, though, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. Brandon Weeden the same. So 3 of the quarterbacks have combined for no touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
Sound like rookies.
That sound like rookies.
You're good.
3rd and 9. Luck. Thrown behind Chris Adams, his intended receiver.
And that's exactly what it was. It was thrown behind. I don't know if that's Luck anticipating the pattern to be run a certain way or if it just got away from him. But now, again, the pressure falls on the lap of the Colts defense.
And now Indy has to kick to the always dangerous Devin Hester.
Oh, he's going to have room here.
Crossing the field. Outrunning the pack. Up the sideline. And out of bounds at about his own 44, 45-yard line.
You know, you're not supposed to be able to catch a ball within 2 yards of the sideline and take it all the way the other way.
Just barely underway here in the 3rd quarter. 10-point lead for the Bears, and there is Jerry Hughes in for Dwight Freeney, who has not reappeared here in the 2nd half for the Colts. And no further word on him as yet. This is Bush to the right side and running room. 40, 35-yard line. Good hard run by Bush for a 1st down. That is Antoine Bethea.
And he's the real experienced safety for the Colts.
2-time Pro Bowler. See what happened to him.
We're coming in there from the left, and he lowers and gets down. He gets low and takes Bush to the ground, but he's the one who ends up paying the price for it. Again, he took a pretty good hit to the head. Well, they're trying to help him breathe. And when they've got your belt hooked like that and helping relieve some of that pressure on your midsection, they're trying to let him catch his breath. That's kind of a good sign.
So Bethea is up to his feet. He's been replaced in the secondary by Joe Lefege, number 35.
Joe Lefege had a pretty good half from a special teams standpoint.
Yes, he did.
Batting a pair of punts out of the end zone, both down by a Colts teammate inside Chicago's 5-yard line.
So 1st down for Chicago at the Indianapolis 35-yard line. Matt Forte lining up behind Cutler. Far sideline, that is complete. Jeffrey, inside the 15 to about the 12.
The Colts fall down, and then Kellen Davis comes over and wipes out a pair of them. Take a look at this. The defender is on the ground. Here comes Davis, and he just drops a pair of Colts to the ground, opening up for Jeffrey back to the inside. Well, Jay Cutler will gladly go to the ground for a nice pickup like that.
23-yard pickup, 1st down Chicago at the 12. Forte to about the 6. And Antoine Bethea, who is back on the field, made that tackle. Hey, it's not too late to play NFL.com fantasy football. Sign up today for the official fantasy game of the NFL at NFL.com/fantasy.
I think we all have to keep in mind that this Colts defense is playing a new system. It's one that they haven't played there in a decade. And I know it's a lot of new players and everything else, but they're not nearly as experienced in this look as they're going to be. And Chicago right now taking advantage of it.
2nd and 4. Forte again. Touchdown!
And that was pretty uncontested.
something of a contentious holdout this summer, which ended in Forte getting a 4-year, $32 million contract, and every one of his Bears teammates were happy to welcome him back with open arms.
But that holdout involved missing no training camp, right. So he got that work in. And you know, he basically told them, I'll be there. I'm not going to let you down. And luckily it worked out for everybody. But that was a foot on your throat drive.
Robbie Gold's extra point is good. Forte to the end zone. The Bears to a 31-14 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The new 90-inch Aquos LED TV, only from Sharp. And by the all-new Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules.
Welcome back to Chicago, 31-14, Bears in the lead. Hey, Sherlock Holmes is back. And in a city of unsolved crimes, he's the biggest mystery of all. Elementary premieres Thursday, September the 27th, only CBS.
I love they're putting a new spin on Sherlock Holmes. Right? You can make that work. I think it's going to be a good show. I love whodunits.
Three rushing touchdowns on the board for the Bears. They've scored on 4 consecutive drives, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Levon Brazil deep. And looks like he'll get a chance to return this one.
Oh, the ball's
the ball, far sideline. And it's Chicago ball. Kelvin Hayden.
Brazil coming out. He's got the ball. It looked like he had it in there pretty good, but it just gets stripped by Thomas. And then the recovery right before it gets out of bounds. Thomas just gets a right hand on the football and just muscles it out of there. And then it's a mad dash. And Hayden gets it and secures it and possesses it before he goes out of bounds.
Brazil, the 6th round draft pick out of Ohio University.
Now, because this is a turnover, it's automatically reviewed upstairs by the observer. But it looked like it was pretty obvious that Kelvin Hayden had that ball tucked away before he slid out of bounds, and they agree.
6th time today the Bears have been in the red zone. They have 4 touchdowns and a field goal on their previous trips. Forte in the backfield.
What is that?
This is Hester. 1 miss. And down to the ground at the 16. He is an electrifying runner.
Yes, but he reversed his field for a very short period of time. Right there, that's just look at all the lanes up front are closed off. That's nice discipline by the Colts in that regard. They weren't the least bit surprised by that.
Loss of 4 makes it 2nd and 14.
Hey, 53, Liz, watch that guy.
There's an old-fashioned football term. Watch that guy.
Back up on the inside.
That one in yours. Cutler, all by himself out of the flat is Forte. Forte inside the 10 to the 8.
Boy, that's asking a lot of Vontae Davis, and he came up with a good tackle. Because if he doesn't get Forte down, goodbye. Talk about having to make a tackle in space. Now this is on an island, and that is answering the call. But they got there. He did come in from behind. He would have at least contested Forte on his way to the end zone. That was a nice tackle, though, by Vontae Davis.
111 total yards from scrimmage for number 22. 3rd and 6. Cutler over the middle, incomplete in the end zone, intended for Marshall.
And Cutler tries to go to Marshall, even though it is an all-out double team by the Colts. They have got him bracketed on the underneath. They've got him bracketed over the top, and still Cutler tries to force it in there.
You know how we've had that conversation sometimes, Dan, that some guys have that arm so strong they believe they can stick the ball anywhere.
Yeah, but look at that bracket. I mean, here it is from behind. He put it on his hands, but we're talking, that's not even a window. That's a sliver of an opening.
Robbie Gold from 26 yards out.
My point is, there had to be somebody else that maybe was a better matchup.
And it's good. Brazil's fumble turns into 3 on the board for the Bears, who lead it seconds and lead it by 20. Levon Brazil, who fumbled. His last contact with the football is on the sideline.
Ooh, and there goes Winston Justice, the Colts right tackle, into the locker room.
Moeldy Moore doesn't return that one. It's a touchback. Hey, coming up next, Serena Williams takes on Victoria Azarenka in the Women's Championship at the U.S. Open. And then tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, it's the Men's Championship. Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic. Today and tomorrow, U.S. Open tennis titles on the line on CBS.
And Greg, the Bears are starting to substitute on defense. Brian Urlacher's on the sideline. Julius Peppers is on the sideline.
Jeff Linkenbach has replaced Winston Justice at right tackle, and there is a completed pass out across the 20 to about the 24-yard line.
This is the perfect scenario for the Bears, especially having to turn around and go to Lambeau Field on Thursday, that they can get this kind of a lead and give some of their guys a rest. And I'm not saying that the rest of this game isn't competitive, but when you're up by 20, you can afford to let Peppers, you can afford to let Urlacher with the knee take a couple series off. If things go your way, maybe they don't play the rest of the afternoon.
Find out how some youngsters perform.
55.
2nd and 6.
190.
This is Donald Brown going nowhere. Stacked up for a loss. Nick Roach led the charge from nearby Northwestern University.
It's been tough sledding for the Colts today, trying to find much room on the ground. Donald Brown had a couple good runs, but that's been about it. The Bears on the verge of going over the century mark. Brown got a couple really good, strong blocks, some double teams at the point of attack, took advantage of them, but that's been about it.
3rd and 8. Luck throwing over the middle. Penalty marker flies as that falls incomplete. Intended for Brazil. That penalty flag must have come from about 20 yards deep.
Well, it came from the back.
Legal contact. Defense number 53. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
The call is on Nick Roach. And that will give the Colts a new set of downs.
Well, we saw Winston Justice go up into the tunnel on the way to the Colts locker room. He's being evaluated for an unknown injury. We're not sure what it is, haven't been told by the Colts. As soon as we know something, we'll pass it along.
So Luck from the 27. Once again, in and out of the hands of Donald Brown.
Well, he had a blatant drop in the first half where we had a great look of him turning his head and looking downfield before
he might have done the same thing here
before
Dan.
The ball arrived.
Look at
that. You don't get that classic of a look of a guy. That is textbook taking your eye off the ball. That's not even close. Your eyeballs aren't even in the same zip code as that ball.
That's a definite how not to.
Whew. Donald Brown is a little more experienced than that. Confusion here on the Colts.
Luck. Oh, nice grab at the 40-yard line by Chris Adams. First-year man out of UTEP.
And Chris Adams, a nice big target, too, at 6'3". Watch him elevate. Talk about going up and getting the ball at its highest point. Nice. And, Tim Jennings, number 26 for Chicago, again, pretty good coverage. He just got out physical going up for that ball, and he had his back to it. And at 5'8", you're going to lose that contest.
So it's another first down at the 40-yard line now.
190!
This is Brown. Back to the line of scrimmage and no more.
This is a situation that Andrew Luck, unfortunately, is probably going to find himself in with some regularity this season, with a young team that's trying to find its way, and Chuck Pagano trying to build a base. He's going to play a lot of football this year, trailing. And talk about trial by fire and learning along the way. And that's unfortunately going to be the reality for Andrew Luck and this Colts offense probably a lot this year.
On 2nd and 9, the slant, and what a hit. Pass is incomplete at the 45-yard line. Donnie Avery was belted by Kelvin Hayden.
Well, Kelvin Hayden, a Chicago native, we'll look at him drive on this. But again, folks, that is the perfect way to do it. The defenseless receiver, that's all shoulder, no helmet. You hit him in the midsection. You don't make contact with the head. That'll be on the training film of how to hit a receiver.
3rd and 9. Luck on the move, throws, got his man. That's Reggie Wayne for a first down. To the Chicago 41. 18 yards.
Boy, and Andrew Luck, again, we talked about this at the beginning of our telecast today. His pocket presence and ability to move around, buy himself a little extra time, but never, as he's moving, watch him move his feet, watch him move in the pocket. His eyes never come off of the downfield target. He's not looking at the rush. He's only looking at open receivers.
Blue 90!
Luck right in the middle of the field to Fleener. Fleener inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. And a little touch on that ball.
That was nice. That was a touch pass. Even though it was downfield, Andrew Luck floated this in and right onto the palms of Coby Fleener. I mean, he took something off of that. He just arced it right over the top of Nick Roach. And Fleener showing a little fight after he catches that football. He just took Chris Connie and said, "Get out of my way."
And suddenly the Colts are in the red zone. First down at the 17.
Watch him!
Luck throwing, tipped in the air, incomplete inside the 5-yard line, intended for Reggie Wayne. You're talking about Andrew Luck's mobility, and you asked him last night, Dan, what was it that he felt he had to work on, and he said footwork.
He said, the quickness of my feet. I know I'm going to the NFL where everything is quicker, and I just want to move my feet quicker. Let's look at it right here. Again, coming out, but squaring back up. That's just well done. That is perfect technique. Keeping your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and a good position to deliver a solid football.
Luck 4 out of 7 for 60 yards on this drive. Donald Brown straight up the middle to the 10.
And you notice he's tackled by Julius Peppers. Lovie Smith said, well, resting my guys is only going so far. Urlacher is still on the sidelines, but Peppers is back in.
Third and 3. And Andrew Luck wants a timeout. 4:57 to play in the third. Indy trying to punch it into the end zone when we come back.
The world's most refreshing beer. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Back at Soldier Field, where the Bears have a lead on the Indianapolis Colts, who are trying to cut into that lead. And Andrew Luck has taken them the length of the field to the 10-yard line. 3rd and 3.
Hey, do it!
Luck. Tipped and intercepted in the end zone. Picked off by Chris Conti. Up the near sideline and down at the 33-yard line. The young man tried to force it into Reggie Wayne and couldn't get it there.
Well, the Colts went completely empty backfield, so there was no question that it was going to be a pass. Reggie Wayne, 87, split all the way to the outside. You can see that Jennings just really gambles. He had his hands around Reggie Wayne's waist. I'm sure Reggie feels that he was held. But give Jennings credit at the end. He comes underneath, and he flipped it right to Conti.
There you go, Chris.
Yeah, and you hate the frustration level goes up when you see the ball batted like that.
His second interception of the day, 3rd Indianapolis turnover of the afternoon.
180. What is that?
This is Forte. I believe these are called growing pains, aren't they, Dan?
Yes, sure they are. And that's, it's just to be expected. And look at him. Look at what he's doing. He's going, hey, everything's all right. Everything, we'll work through it. No going down there and sitting on the end of the bench by yourself, and there's no use pouting.
Chuck Pagano says about the only thing he can't do is sing.
Yeah, when he said he's not joking.
That's horrible.
He said that's just like somebody stepping on a cat's tail or something. It's awful.
180. What is that?
Pass out here to Devin Hester. Can't shake a tackle, and he's down at about the 28.
Gerard Powers, he had Hester by the ankle, and he was not going to give it up. And again, it's, Mike Tice, one of the things he's trying to do is just come up with how many different ways can I get the football to Devin Hester and get it to him out in space. And that's what you wanted. He got a one-on-one, and you got to give Gerard Powers credit. But more often than not, Devin Hester will win that one-on-one out in space, especially if he gets a step
58.
separation and ability to make a move.
Hey, open, line open.
3rd and 13 for Cutler. And he goes down in the face of a big rush led by number 98 Robert Mathis and also Jarrell Freeman. And Corey Redding comes up limping.
Corey's had a knee problem and missed some time in the preseason, and now he hobbles off again. And boy, this is the injury bug is starting to really get to the Colts here for opening day.
Look who gets another shot. Back to return a punt is Levon Brazil. Brazil on the run and down at the 46-yard line. Andrew Luck giving another shot. Why not? 2:37 to play in the 3rd. This is a spectacular day weather-wise in Chicago. Not too bad a day for the Bears either, who lead at 34-14. Luck on first down from his own 46, going to throw it. Overshot his tight end, Fleener, in the middle of the field.
Well, Brian Urlacher still on the sidelines for the Bears. Although everybody else, the frontline guys are still out there. Peppers is out there. Briggs is still playing. But this is a smart move by Lovie Smith. Let him rest that knee again, the turnaround having to play on Thursday.
This is Donald Brown for a first down. Let's check in once again in New York. James Brown and Boomer Esiason, guys.
St. Louis trying to get a little space from Detroit.
I'll tell you what, guys, upsetting to make it. Sam Bradford lays it right in there perfectly to Brandon Gibson. That's 23 yards. St. Louis on top right now. 19-13 game is being played in Detroit.
Awaiting the point after. Back to Greg and Dan.
Thank you, guys. You know, Dan, I mentioned to you earlier, I thought from everything I've seen in the preseason, young Mr. Bradford's throwing the football pretty well.
Yeah, he had a tough year last year, and you're right. He's looks good in the preseason so far in his third year.
Luck hit from behind. The ball is picked off at the 41-yard line. Julius Peppers. No, and now it's ruled incomplete. Corey Wooten came in from behind and hit Luck.
Well, there's the ball, but does the ball touch the ground? Whoa! Julius Peppers, whoa, that warrants another look. And there's the challenge flag from Lovie Smith.
And Wayne Elliott will get a little more hood action here.
Because that wasn't ruled an interception. It wasn't a turnover, so it's not automatically reviewed. It's subject to a coach's challenge, and that's exactly what Lovie Smith did. All right, let's see right here. Does the ball touch the ground? Yes, I think it does. Yes. Julius Peppers, his hand is more to the side of it. And it looks to me like before he completely controls this ball, I think he's aided by the ground.
So that's if it's a pass, Dan. What if it's a fumble?
Well, if it's a fumble, well, I think
then it's Julius Peppers with the recovery.
Right, but I don't think there's any question. It looked to me like it was a forward. His hand was going forward. Let's go back if we could, and let's concentrate on that aspect of it. If we could go back and take a look at that. Let's concentrate just on the hand. Is it moving forward before the ball comes out?
See, I'm not so sure that it is.
You're right. You're exactly right. That's a fumble. That's a fumble. And being a fumble, if it's ruled a fumble, it doesn't matter whether it touches the ground or not. It's a loose football. And it looked from that last angle, it looks like the football is loose before Luck. Now we get that angle. All right.
And even Peppers on the receiving end looks a little different.
Look how much it changed from that one angle. I think the ball came loose before he started the throw. He's in full wind-up mode. But looking at that last one, I think the ball is loose prior to Andrew Luck starting the throwing motion. In which case, that's a fumble, and in which case, given the rules the way they are now, even though it was ruled an incomplete pass, that'll be Chicago's football.
The Colts are hoping for a pass attempt falling incomplete.
Which was what the ruling was on the field. And I suspect that's going to be overturned because that looks like a fumble.
Here's Wayne Elliott. Welcome to the Bigs, Wayne.
After further review, the quarterback threw with an empty hand. It's a fumble with immediate Chicago recovery. Chicago ball, 1st and 10 at the 41.
Yep. And that's, remember, the rules were changed a couple years ago when it's obvious after that play that it's recovered by a Chicago player that they'll be awarded the football. Everybody in Denver is well aware of that rule.
That is the 4th turnover of the day by the Colts, the 3rd by Luck.
Well, it's certainly not Andrew Luck's fault. That's just his pocket collapsed around him and the ball's knocked away while he's trying to throw it. But prior to his throwing it.
Corey Wooten with a big hit from behind. So first down, Bears at their own 41.
180. What is that?
Forte can't turn the corner on Pavel Connor. And we come up on the last minute and a half of the third quarter.
Well, you learn a lot about a team when we move into this fourth quarter, specifically talking about the Colts and their growing process. And this is especially defensively now. Can they muscle up and force a Chicago punt? Because the last number of series that the Bears have been on offense, they have just plowed right through them.
Bears pick up the blitz. Cutler over the middle and almost intercepted by Antoine Bethea.
Well, Bethea did everything perfectly except intercept the ball. Jay Cutler's just looking right down the middle of the field. The blitz is picked up. A good job by Forte of picking up the blitz. But look how Bethea reads it, jumps in front.
You've got two Bears converging on the same spot.
Nice job by Matt Forte of sticking his face right in there and picking up the blitz of
Open
Moses
92.
Foku.
We got 58.
3rd and 13.
Rex!
Quick slant, Brandon Marshall. Marshall spinning to midfield, reaching for the first down.
You're not kidding, reaching. He really tried to stretch that thing out there. Brandon Marshall caught this ball, I would say, a good 6 yards from what he needed for a first down, and Gerard Powers doing everything he can to get him down.
You know, as he reached for that first down, it reminded me of the days of Walter Payton here. Every time he got off the ground, he would advance the ball about a foot and a half, 2 feet.
Well, what was really critical for Brandon Marshall there is as he was spinning and reaching with the football, nothing didn't appear to me that a knee or an elbow or anything else touched the ground, and he came up just a wee bit short.
And let's see what Lovie Smith is going to do.
Well, Lovie's a defensive coach by nature. Up by 20 points, this would show a gambling side to Lovie that you don't normally see.
Well, play clock is running, and there doesn't seem to be a decision. And they're going to let time expire here in the third quarter.
Well, I don't think they can. The play clock.
Oh, no, they're not. Now he's thrown a challenge flag. So maybe he wants to see where if they spotted the ball correctly. That's what he's doing.
Well, this will send Wayne Elliott back under the hood. Let's take a look at it and try to figure this out exactly where the spot is. Keep in mind, he's got to get to about the 49-yard line of the Colts. Now, we see where the ball is now, but where did his body touch the ground? You can piece all these together. Nothing's down yet. Nothing but a hand. That doesn't count. Brandon Marshall comes pretty darn close to actually having that ball touch the ground just about the same time that the rest of his body does.
Dan, I think they may take a look at this and extend the ball a little bit, considering where Marshall put that ball on the ground.
Again, let's not down. There, he's down, and the ball's already down. So you pretty much got to take the ball for where it is.
on the replay. The question is the ball on the field the same place?
Exactly right.
And I think he may get another few inches out of it.
It looks like the nose of the ball made it to the yard marker. It appeared to make it cleanly all the way to the 49-yard line. So Wayne Elliott's going to have to determine, is that, how much more is it than what they measured it at?
We've had 2 challenges in the last 4 plays. And here he comes.
For further review, the play stands. Chicago will be charged with timeout. 4th down and a foot.
And Lovey's going to punt.
So Levon Brazil back at his own 10-yard line. And this one is going to bounce at the goal line and go into the end zone for the touchback. Hey, heads up, Wednesday in prime time, join JB, Chris Collinsworth, and Phil Simms with special guest Bill Cowher for a review of our Sunday tradition that is uniquely Showtime. It's Inside the NFL, Wednesday on Showtime.
Well, a coach gets 2 challenges a game. You get a 3rd one if you're right both times. Lovey was 1-1, so he's now out of challenge. Now he's also up by 20 points, but just for those of you keeping score at home, file that away.
Blake Costanzo, backup linebacker, has come to the sideline limping a little bit for the Bears.
Check out. Hey, push! Push it! Why 90?
So Luck from his own 20. On the move, looking, gonna run it, and out of bounds at the 25-yard line. With 5 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
It's not his favorite thing to do, but if you get Andrew Luck out in the open field, he can run away from some people. The guy, for a big man, and a big guy he is at 6'4", 234, he can really scoop.
Well, we move to the 4th quarter. Day number 1 in the NFL for that young man, Andrew Luck. The Bears have rebounded from a bad start and go into the 4th with a commanding lead. We're back after this message and a word from your local station. And as we start the 4th quarter. Luck from the 26-yard line. That pass is complete. And out across the 45 is Reggie Wayne.
Well, everybody was wondering about Brian Urlacher and how would, if he played, would he be effective? Would he move well? Little snippet of some of the things that he's accomplished so far, chasing down Reggie Wayne. Tips a pass right here. Now the important thing is when this game is over that the knee doesn't swell, that he doesn't experience a lot of discomfort, and that he can get good work in before the game Thursday at Lambeau.
This is Ballard, the rookie. Dan, you said a lot of people have been talking about it. You know who didn't say much about it? Because we saw the Bears 2 weeks ago in a preseason game. Lovie Smith didn't say much about it, and Urlacher didn't say much about it. They were both pretty solid in that Brian Urlacher would be here opening day.
That's all they would say. We don't understand the fuss. Brian will be there on September the 9th when we play the Colts. He's on pace to practice that week, and that's exactly what happened. Now he's 34 years old with a bulky knee. That's not going away.
In the final year of his contract, too. Luck to Reggie Wayne. And Wayne to the 31.
I have nothing but admiration for Reggie Wayne. Being a veteran and really being there for the kid as he tries to find his way in this league. And folks, that was a good-looking pass. Look how tight that spiral was, right onto the hands of Reggie Wayne. But what an asset for Andrew Luck to have a guy like Reggie Wayne in his huddle.
And for Wayne's part, he says it's like being a rookie all over again. This is Ballard. And Ballard wrapped up just as he crossed the line of scrimmage. Boy, Reggie Wayne has been quite the performer today.
Yeah, if you're wondering whether Reggie's still got some game, check a couple of these out. How about that one laying out for it? Talk about laying out, and he paid the price. He landed on the ball. Then a little one-handed action. Never does get his left hand involved. Reggie Wayne has shown what it means to be a professional. 8 catches, 128 yards. Well done, and we're just starting the 4th.
Andrew Luck at 239 yards now and counting. 2nd and 10. Luck and right through the hands of Fleener.
Well, this just gives you a little indication that if you look to the right, 44 starts among the 5 other wide receivers on the roster against Reggie's 160. 11,700 receiving yards. But again, in a situation, I know he's paid handsomely to do it, but Reggie Wayne is not going to mail this season in.
3rd and 10. Luck throwing and overthrows. Donnie Avery.
Oh, and he's just mad at himself because Avery came back. Avery came back, broke loose, got open. And this time when Luck comes out, he's running forward, and the ball just sails on him. It just flat gets away from him. Avery had really come back and put himself in a position to move the chains.
So the Colts and Luck going to go for it here on 4th and 10. Down 20 points, 12-16 to play in regulation time. With time, over the middle, got his man. That's complete to Chris Adams for a first down inside the 20.
Well, let's take a look at the blocking up front and see what it looks like from behind. Nice blitz pickup, nice game rather pickup on the inside between the left guard, left tackle. And a nice strike from Andrew Luck. Floating a little bit to his left, hitting a receiver that's breaking across from left to right. Well done.
Luck sideline pass, and that's complete to Wayne. You know, you mentioned floating. That's something Dan Marino used to do pretty well in the backfield.
You sure could. You know. Now Dan wasn't a threat to run downfield with the ball.
He will tell you differently.
Well, he can say whatever he wants. But sure, all great quarterbacks. You know, Tom Brady's not a threat to take off with the football. Peyton Manning wasn't a threat to take off with the ball. But they all had tremendous lateral movement between the tackles. You only have to move a yard or two to buy yourself an extra second or two. You don't have to be Usain Bolt.
2nd and 3. Quick slant. That is complete to the 5-yard line to Avery. And that's a 1st and goal.
Well, this is, again, a good-looking drive by the Colts. Now, I know the Bears are up by 20 points, and maybe their focus isn't quite what it should be. But effective is effective, and that's what the Colts have been on this drive.
And number 12 is getting a little game experience.
Monday.
Ballard in the backfield.
What he'd like to have is a touchdown pass.
Looking, throwing, incomplete.
Andrew Luck has a pair of interceptions and no touchdown passes. And you know, just a little bit outside Reggie's reach where he could make a play on it.
He's caught just about everything else today.
Well, yeah.
Chuck Pagano, first year growing pains for the coach, too. Second and goal. Quick slant, touchdown!
There it is. There it is. You're off the snide.
If we had more time, I'd ask you, what is the snide? But that's Andrew Luck's first career touchdown pass.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This will be the answer to a trivia question, hopefully, if he has a wonderful career. And the other answer to that question will be Donnie Avery in Chicago.
Vinatieri's extra point is good. 10:20 to play in the fourth quarter. 34-21 Chicago. Andrew Luck, his first touchdown pass in the National Football League. There's the young man out of Stanford University. His coach just had a long talk with him, and now Chuck Pagano is not fooling himself. He knows it's going to be a building process all season long.
He's sitting next to Clyde Christensen, his quarterback coach. There's a wealth of knowledge to be tapped into there as well.
Devin Hester will let that one bounce through the end zone for the touchback. 10:20 to play, fourth quarter. We're coming back to Soldier Field in just a moment.
By Bose, the official home audio sponsor of the NFL. FedEx. FedEx does more than shipping. FedEx, solutions that matter. And by the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 with S Pen. Note the new way.
With just under 10.5 minutes to play, the numbers are in on the quarterbacks to date.
You can see Andrew Luck has one more yard than Jay Cutler. Three interceptions between them. Cutler's was for a touchdown. His was a pick six. But Andrew Luck has accumulated some of those yards throwing because he has to throw. Jay Cutler, ever since that horrible beginning, was, wow. What he did the rest of the first half was pretty special.
This is Matt Forte as the Colts try to make a defensive stand here in the fourth quarter. And we got a fracas in the middle of the field.
All right, let's not. Robert Mathis and Jamarcus Webb seem to be
two little guys.
Well, Robert Mathis is a little guy compared to Jamarcus Webb. Mathis is 6'2", 245 for a defensive end. Linebacker not that big. Jamarcus 6'7", 333, and that didn't include breakfast.
He's in his third year, so he's still growing. Butler on 2nd and 9. Far sideline. Nice catch made by Brandon Marshall.
Boy, I tell you what, Gerard Powers had such tight coverage, and Marshall and Cutler both read it, and Cutler goes back shoulder. See, watch this. Marshall sees that he went back shoulder, dropped it short, and he can make the adjustment because he's looking at the quarterback of the ball, and Powers can't. Powers tries to fly through the air. That was a beautiful adjustment by Brandon Marshall to the football that was correctly and accurately thrown short by Jay Cutler.
Marshall having himself a fine day. Forte trying to turn the corner. Stays in bounds and now dances across the 45. Brandon Marshall once had 21 receptions in a game against the Colts back in the 09 season.
An NFL record.
Today, he's 9 for 119 and a touchdown.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne has 9 catches on the other side for the Colts as well. So the big-time receivers are posting some big-time numbers here on opening day.
On 2nd and 7. Forte across midfield to the 48-yard line, about a yard short of a first down.
And I'm sure Lovie Smith would like to see nothing more than the Bears hammer away and string out a couple first downs, keep this clock running. You want anything to help this offensive line to gel. We talked earlier about the importance of this offensive line here in Chicago Bearland, and he wants them to experience success and to grow.
3rd and 1. Michael Bush has the first down.
I'll tell you what, Phil Emery, the new GM of the Bears, Michael Bush was a very nice addition, a nice free agent signing from Oakland, because what a compliment he is to Matt Forte. He will save a lot of wear and tear on Matt Forte doing the heavy lifting inside.
9 carries for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns today for Michael Bush. Forte back into the backfield on first down, and he'll get the handoff. And Brandon Marshall comes back onto the field. You know, tells you how much these Bears needed Brandon Marshall when you look back to last season and realize that Matt Forte was not only their leading rusher but their leading receiver.
You would have preferred to have that be a wide out. I don't think Forte is going to have to worry about that this year.
2nd and 7.
Brandon Marshall should have over 100 receptions.
Cutler going deep for Jeffrey. End zone. Got it!
Well, Alshon Jeffrey spiked that ball and then wisely went and chased it.
The kid can run.
He wants to keep that memento. Now that is right over the top of both the corner and the safety. Vontae Davis can't get there. Bethea is not in a position to come over and make a play. And even at 6'3", Alshon Jeffrey ran past and over the top of the Colts defense.
Robbie Gold adds the 41st point. Jay Cutler threw that one a long way, right on the money. 41-21 Bears. For openers, this has been pretty good. 41-21 with 6:08 to play here in the 4th quarter, and Alshon Jeffrey celebrating his first NFL career touchdown on the bench. This is Mewelde Moore, and Moore is brought down at about the 18-yard line. 6:02 to play in the 4th. We'll take a timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. And by Subway. It's Subway's birthday, and everyone is celebrating with $5 footlong faves all September long.
Back at Soldier Field, 41-21 Bears, 6:02 to play here in the 4th quarter. From the 19-yard line, Andrew Luck. Crossing pattern, that's Reggie Wayne in the middle, is ruled down.
Now they're going to rule it incomplete now, I think.
Yep, incomplete. Andrew Luck with a touchdown pass here today in his first NFL game. His father, Oliver Luck, also threw a TD pass in his first NFL game with Houston.
Well, there's a piece of trivia that I didn't know.
Good luck, gang.
Luck throwing low, but the catch is made at the 29-yard line by Mewelde Moore.
And the Bears right now more than willing to give Andrew Luck all that little stuff underneath.
You know, Dan, I was thinking back to Alshon Jeffrey, his first career NFL touchdown reception, and having had the opportunity to speak with him, you know very well that his reaction will probably be, thanks.
He's soft-spoken would be an understatement, wouldn't it? Well, Chuck Pagano, he has got an opportunity that he just relishes having. Never been a head coach at any level, entrusted with the Indianapolis Colts, and he's getting to do it his way.
Luck had a tip at the line of scrimmage, incomplete.
You know, he's got a new GM and Brian Grigson. You know, he's got an owner in Jim Irsay that is going to let him coach these guys up. But it's going to take a while. No coach wants to admit that, but it's going to take a while.
But everybody is aware of it.
Yeah, it's going to take some good drafts. It's going to take some more good free agent signings.
And perhaps the most impressive thing Chuck Pagano had to say about Andrew Luck is that whoever we put on the field to play with him, he will raise their level of play. And Luck is going to go down.
Well, just nowhere to go with the football, and that's your only choice, just to eat it. Take a look at it here. The pressure coming up the middle, but then you see Briggs coming in off the edge. The pocket just totally disintegrates on Andrew Luck.
Here's Devin Hester. Gonna let it bounce. And it's going to roll to a stop at the 25-yard line. Hey, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS features doubleheader games. First up, Dan, how about you and I pay a visit to the city of brotherly love? Philadelphia Eagles playing host to the Baltimore Ravens. You see the rest of the game starting at 1 Eastern time. 4:25 Eastern doubleheader action includes the Jets at Pittsburgh, Tennessee at San Diego. Check your local listings. It all begins with JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today.
That Philadelphia-Baltimore game, any game that involves Ray Lewis chasing Michael Vick, pretty intriguing matchup. A couple of the NFL's heavyweights.
On first down, this is Michael Bush. Michael Bush with running room off the right side, 45, 47-yard line.
Flag back, though.
Holding, offense number 87, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
That'll be Kellen Davis, the tight end.
Well, the one thing about the Bears, they are a good football team, okay? We knew that coming in. They fell to 8-8 last year because Jay Cutler broke his thumb. They were 7-3 at the end after 10 games, and then they went 1-5 down the stretch without Cutler. They are a vastly improved football team from a year ago.
With a pretty good test coming up this Thursday night.
But they are, I think, a much better football team than the 11 version.
54.
And they were pretty good last year.
On first and 20.
So the question is, you know, they're in a superior division, you know, with the Lions and the Packers, and the Packers at 15-1 a year ago. By rights, you say they own the division, and they do. But is this is a football team that used to rely on defense to win close, low-scoring games, and the Bears can now get in the shootout. The Bears, you know, as we see 41 on the board here today, with this offensive firepower, they're in a position where they could start lighting up the scoreboard like Green Bay. I mean, who knows what the score of that thing might be Thursday night.
But talk about the opportunity to make a statement early in the season. This is Michael Bush.
I'm just
when he's wrapped up.
Greg, when you've talked about the Chicago Bears in the recent past, and I'm talking like the last 10. When's the last time you ever used the word getting in an offensive shootout with the Bears?
Right.
It just wasn't. It's not in Lovie Smith's character. He's a defensive, and they didn't have the talent to do it, but they certainly do now. This could be Mike Tyson, his gang here on the offensive side of things, they could take a lot of pressure off the Bears defense by scoring a ton of points.
This Bears team averaged 22.1 points a game last year. They stand to score a lot more than that this year per game.
I think so.
3rd and 15 for Cutler.
58 the point.
And they'll keep it on the ground with Bush. And Bush across the 20 to the 22-yard line.
And Indianapolis takes a timeout. Because they're going to get to 2-minute warning, and they're going to fight till the last breath. They're trying to teach these kids a lesson that we will contest every minute that the game is going on.
As we were talking with Chuck Pagano last night, you were pretty amazed with his young tight ends.
Well, he's just when do you see a team go into a season with 3 rookie tight ends? And that's exactly what he's doing. Now that'll be, and this is an era, let's be realistic, having multiple tight ends that can get downfield, that can go down the seam, that can expose the matchups that they're going to get against a lot of the tight end position now is maybe more important than it's ever been in the NFL's history.
Just a reminder, coming up next, the U.S. Open Women's Championship. Serena Williams, Victoria Azarenka coming up once we wind down.
And he's going into the season with 3 babies, but 3 talented youngsters.
Podlesh with the kick. And Brazil fielding that punt and running it out of bounds at about the 42 or 43-yard line. .228 to play. The Chicago Bears with their opener under their belts.
Talk about under your belts. That's what Antoine Bethea is getting an ice pack on his lower back. Again, this has been a tough day for injuries for the Colts. In the first quarter, they lost Dwight Freeney. Winston Justice, their right tackle, with a head injury. He went in the locker room and didn't come back.
Charles Tillman has not returned since injuring a leg for the Bears. Luck with the quick pass outside to Fleener. But right there to make the play is Major Wright. And they'll get off at least another one before the 2-minute warning. Incomplete. So they'll get off another play here, 2:04 to play.
Well, Andrew Luck has had a little bit of everything happen to him here today. He's had some success. He's closing in on 300 yards passing. But his team's going to lose the football game, and he's got 3 turnovers.
And when we talked to him last night, wasn't kidding himself, knows all about the pressures of stepping into a role that was once owned by Peyton Manning, knows all about being the #1 pick overall and what the expectations are.
Monday.
Lots of pressure up the middle, and he goes down at the 35. 1:59 play, we get the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here at Soldier Field. 41-21 Chicago. Your way here on CBS, the U.S. Open Women's Championship matchup. 4th seed Serena Williams, top seed Victoria Azarenka. That's coming up next on CBS. 4th and 15, Andrew Luck and the Colts going to go for it. They need the Bears 47 for a first down. Luck throwing, sideline. Avery is there, and he's got the first down.
Well, again, a big-time throw by Andrew Luck. Just really well done. Right up the sideline, lays it right out there for Avery. I mean, just look at the quality of this throw. That's just really... And the Bears are allowing a lot of completions in that area there beyond the corner and before the safety gets over.
309 yards on the day, and Luck looking for more. throwing it the other way, and they threw it. Intercepted by Tim Jennings. Jennings down at the 26-yard line.
Well, Andrew Luck this time just doesn't see Jennings undercutting the pattern. The ball comes up way short. Chris Adams was his intended receiver.
That's some pretty good elevation.
Yes, it is. But he elevated on a ball that was way short of where it needed to be.
So that's the third interception of Luck today. And the Bears set to just run the clock out. Everybody wondering how this young man would step into the shoes once filled by Peyton Manning. Their first career start. My goodness.
Yeah, my goodness.
One touchdown,
right.
3 interceptions.
Almost identical yardage. Andrew Luck.
That's a little eerie, you know that?
Yeah, Luck forced to put the ball in the air 45 times. Now, the first thing I'm sure Andrew Luck's going to talk about in his post-game press conference is the 4 turnovers. The fumble wasn't his fault. He's hit from the blind side. You know, he didn't see it coming when he's trying to throw. But factor the fumble with 3 picks, and it goes on your ledger as 4 turnovers. And now for the Chicago Bears, it is all about the Green Bay Packers and Lambeau Field.
Thursday night matchup there. They will go for 2 straight.
Hey, come on, man. First game.
And one more snap. And that'll do it. Brian Urlacher here as promised. Andrew Luck showed us he can throw the football around the field, but has a ways to go. Jay Cutler has his offense in place, and the Chicago Bears come away with a 20-point win. Our final score, the Chicago Bears 41, the Colts 21. Coming up next, it's the women's final of the U.S. Open. Serena Williams, Victoria Azarenka. For Dan Deerdorf, for all of us here at CBS, I'm Greg Gumbel. So long through Soldier Field in Chicago. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. We'll join James Brown in New York.